Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is a little bit different. It's actually something that I've never done on my channel. I've done like cooking in vlogs and stuff like that, but never like a dedicated cooking video. So this is just 4 recipes that I love and that are like tried and true recipes that are super good, super easy. And also I think it's important to note that we are on a enlisted military 1-income family budget. I do work and obviously I do YouTube, so I do have some income, but all of my income is pretty much saved and we live off of what my husband makes. So if that gives you any insight, then these recipes are definitely super affordable and they're really easy too, so pretty much anybody can do them, even if you suck at cooking. So the first recipe is chicken marsala. It's a TikTok recipe that I found. So I did tweak some things here and there, but I will leave everything where I got all the recipes and stuff like that down below. And then the other recipe is animal sliders, again, actually from the same girl from the chicken marsala recipe, her TikTok, she's great. So yeah, I'll leave her down below because I love her videos and she has so many great ideas. And then the next one is shepherd's pie. This is like OG tried and true recipe that I've been making since me and Andy got married, and it's so easy and it's such like a comfort food meal, you know, like it's just so good and it's so easy and it's so cheap. So yeah, that's probably my favorite out of this one. Me and Andy pretty much ate like the whole dish in that night and then the next night. And then the last one is white chicken enchiladas. So just like regular chicken enchiladas, but with the white sauce on top, which is in my opinion way better than the green or the red sauce. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. Let me know if you guys have any questions, and again, like I said, I will leave everything linked down below. Yeah, comment if you have any questions. Make sure you follow me on my Instagram because I always post different recipes and all that kind of stuff there. And then also I've been getting into TikTok and posting recipe videos over there, so go follow me over there. I'm pretty much Emily Marie Bruce on everything, which is always linked down below. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this video. Alright, so tonight I'm making chicken marsala and mashed potatoes on the side, and it's a recipe that I actually got off of TikTok, so I will leave it down below. She's pretty famous on TikTok, so you guys have probably seen it before. Maybe not this recipe, but I figured I would show you guys how I make it, like the easy version. So everything that you need is basically right here. I have 3 chicken breasts in here, but I'm probably only going to use 2 and save another one because it's just me and Andy, so I don't think we need that much. And these are pretty thick. They're in the bag because that's what they're frozen in, but it's helpful to put it in because we're going to pound the chicken. And then I have an onion. The recipe that she uses calls for a shallot, but I don't have any, so I just used a diced onion. This is fresh mushrooms, so I just cleaned and gutted the inside of them and then chopped them up like that. And then fresh parsley, you could use dried, but I actually used the rest of it the other night when I was cooking, so this is just fresh, but you could use either. And then you could use a actual garlic clove or the minced garlic. That's what I have, so that's what I'm using. And then this is where I don't know how it's going to turn out compared to hers, but she uses Marsala wine. I couldn't find that at the store, so I'm just using regular cooking wine. And then I'm going to add Worcestershire sauce to it because that's kind of the taste of Marsala chicken, so we'll see how it turns out. I think it'll still be good. And then you also need regular chicken stock, which I put back in the fridge, but you need about a cup of that. And then this is chicken stock and flour mixed together, so you add that at the end to kind of make it thicker. And then I just have flour with salt and pepper in here to bread the chicken before you brown each side. So let's go ahead and get cooking. All right, so first thing we're gonna do is pound out the chicken. I just have a rolling pin. I don't actually have a beater, so that's what I'm gonna do. So next I'm just gonna salt and pepper the chicken. And then you're just gonna bread your chicken in the flour mixture. Again, this is just flour and salt and pepper. I didn't like measure the flour or anything. I just did enough in this pan to where I would have enough. Okay, just like that. All right, so then I'm just using a big pot. You can use like a raised skillet, I guess, but I don't have one of those, so I just wanted to make sure I had enough room. So then you're just gonna add some olive oil or whatever oil you use usually into your pan or pot, like that. And then she added about, it looked like a tablespoon of butter, so that's what I'm gonna do. And then just get that hot before you add the chicken. All right, so it's sizzling now, so I'm gonna add this in and try not to get burnt. So this is what it's looking like before we flip it. All right, so I'm just gonna go ahead and flip it, because they're gonna cook later on, like after you add all the other stuff, so you don't need to like cook them right now. That looks good. That's what they look like. And then I'm just gonna wait for the other side, and then you set them aside after this. Okay, so here's what the chicken looks like. So it's not done, again, because it still has to cook, but brown on each side kind of looks like that. Maybe a little bit crispier, depending on how you like it. And then next you're gonna add your shallot or your onion, depending on which one you have. And then the garlic and salt to the same pan that you just browned the chicken in. So that's what I'm gonna do. And then as for the garlic, she doesn't say how much she uses, so I'm just gonna measure with my heart. And then I also have mashed potatoes going, so I'm just boiling some regular potatoes. I just left the skin on because I'm being lazy. But you could do actual homemade mashed potatoes or instant or whatever other side you want to do. So yeah, like I said, I didn't measure any of that, and you just let that go, I guess, until the onions are translucent, which is like clear. I'm drinking, what is this? Corona seltzer. This little thing is from Target. It's the Zach brand, but it's really cool. It fits like any like beer or whatever, and it keeps it like cool, and also like it doesn't sweat, so that's pretty cool. What are you drinking?
A little bit of Sprite here, mixed with my Crown Royal.
Yeah. And those are those ice cubes. If you guys follow me on my Instagram, I have like an ice cube mold, and they make those cool ice cubes. They're not clear like the other cool ones, but they're pretty cool. Keep an eye on your potatoes so they don't overflow. I was kind of scared of that. And then you just add your mushrooms in. You can add them now or later. Doesn't really matter. I'm just gonna add mine now. Try not to lose any. Okay. I'm just gonna mix that up. I'm gonna add a little bit more oil because the onions kind of like soaked it all up. I'm just gonna add a little bit more. That way the mushrooms will get soft. And I have that on like medium, so I'm just gonna let that go for a little bit. That's what it looks like so far. And my potatoes are going. Okay, so this is where she says to add the Marsala wine. Again, I don't have that, so I'm just gonna eye mine. Obviously, if you can find Marsala wine, it's like a darker cooking wine. That would be better, but I'm just working with what I got. So I guess you just add enough to where like it covers the bottom of it. So I'm just gonna kind of eyeball. So kind of like that. That was maybe about a cup and a quarter. See, it's not like too much, but just enough. And then I'm just gonna add the Worcestershire. I think this one's almost out, so I love Worcestershire though, so I'm just gonna add the whole thing. Not the whole bottle, but as much as was in here. So that was like, it was filled up to like right here maybe. So that was maybe about 1/8 of a cup. So, but you can always like add it and then taste it and then see. But this is the color that you want it to be. Like not super dark, but a little dark. And have that like wine Marsala smell going, which I definitely smell. It smells super good. You are going to add the chicken stock and everything later, so don't worry about it being like not liquidy enough, because you are going to add the chicken stock and then the chicken stock mixed with the flour too, so you're going to add more, so don't add too much now. So I'm just cooking this enough to where the mushrooms, they'll kind of be like that, to where they're not hard anymore. You don't want to cook them like too much to where they're like they fall apart, but you know, you'll see them start to get a little bit of brown and they'll kind of soak up the wine mixture. So I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the next step. Okay, so this part you're supposed to add 1 cup of the chicken stock. I think I have about that left in mine, so I'm just gonna add the rest that's in my carton. I might have less than that, but I have more if I need more. So, but she does say to add 1 cup, so just do that. That was definitely maybe a little bit less than 1 cup, but I think it'll be okay. I don't want it to be too runny. It's kind of going to be like a sauce, if that makes sense. So then once that kind of is boiling or like simmering and everything is like mixed and heated all together, you're going to add the chicken back in. All right, so mine is boiling like that, so I'm just going to go ahead and add the chicken back in. You just kind of lay it on there, I guess. Still keep an eye on your potatoes. Mine look like they might overflow soon. So like that, and just kind of like smush them in there. There we go. All right, so next you're gonna add the chicken stock and flour mixture. I can't really say how much this was, but I added like about, let's see, can you see that? That much chicken stock, maybe like 1/4 cup, and then put my potatoes down, and then a little bit of flour to where it's like creamy and thick. And then once you add it into your sauce, if your sauce isn't thick enough, you can always add more flour if you want. So I'm just gonna add that in, and then you want to add the other tablespoon of butter. And then you also want to add all of the parsley on top of it. So this is what it looks like. I have it on a little less than medium, and it's definitely boiling, but you want the rest of the chicken to cook. So she says to cook it for 10 to 15 minutes until the chicken is done. Alright, so here's the finished product. I just put a bunch of the mushrooms and the sauce and stuff on top, and then in the mashed potatoes. So yeah, it looks super good. So tonight I'm making animal style sliders. Again, another TikTok recipe, so I will leave it down below. The only thing I'm doing different is I'm just going to use regular Munster cheese all throughout instead of Munster and then cheddar on top. You'll see what I'm talking about. But yeah, it's a pretty easy recipe and it's super good. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is take a pound of ground beef, and we're gonna mix some Lowry's in there, and then some pepper, and then garlic, just like minced garlic. You can do however much you want. Don't add salt because Lowry's is seasoned salt. That's what it looks like. I'm sure most of you probably know that. But then pepper. Again, this is just a taste, so you can add some and then add more. Obviously you can't taste it because it's raw meat, but it's really up to you. And then you're just gonna mix that either with your hands or with a spoon. I just washed my hands, so I'm just gonna use mine. All right, so the next thing that you're gonna do is you're gonna take mustard and you're gonna line a baking dish like this, and then you're gonna just put mustard all in the baking dish and then press the meat into it. So I'll show you guys. Just regular mustard. You can use any kind of mustard that you like. This is just what I have. And then I just take a spoon and spread it out evenly. It doesn't have to be perfect because you're gonna push the meat into it. So, and just flop it in there and press it down into a nice even layer, just like that, and then bake at 350 for 20 minutes. Okay, so next you'll need 1 onion and just dice it up and add some oil to a pan to heat it up a little, And we're just gonna add the onion into the pan and kind of make like a grilled, like charred onion, if that makes sense. If you don't like onions, then just skip this step. So while the onions and the meat is cooking, we're gonna make the secret sauce. So you just add equal parts of mayo and mustard and a little bit of cayenne. So that you're gonna spread this on the sliders. So I had like 2 spoonfuls of mayo and then about the same amount of mustard. Not really the same amount, maybe half. Just like that. You can see it. And then a little bit of cayenne. Be careful with the cayenne because it can be spicy if you add too much, obviously. So if you like spice, then you can add more or less. I like a little bit of spice, so I add a little bit more than maybe you would if you didn't really like it. So we can go ahead and do the first layer while we're still waiting on the meat. It has like 12 minutes left, so we still have a little bit. But this is the Munster cheese that I get. I would definitely recommend this over using just cheddar because it tastes a lot better. But that rhymed. But it's up to you. But we're just gonna layer the bottom with this, and then when the meat comes out, you put the meat on top and then the onions and everything else. All right, so the meat is done, so I just went ahead and flipped it over. So you want the mustard side of the meat to be up. It's okay if it shrunk a little bit. I mean, it's not gonna be perfect. Obviously, use more meat if you're using like a bigger slider, but I'm using the smaller one, so 1 pound is fine. And then the onions are done, and they just look like that. They're just like a little charred. So I threw my spatula in the sink, so I'm gonna use this little bowl, but you just put the onions on top. And the next thing that you want to do is spread this sauce out. So it's kind of thick, so it's kind of hard to spread, so just kind of do that. You can add a little bit of water to it if you want, but I don't. That. And then you want to top with more of the cheese. You can either, at this part, you can either use cheddar or Munster. All I have is shredded cheddar cheese, so I'm just gonna do the Munster. All right, like that. And then you're just gonna put the top of the sliders on, like that. And then what we're gonna do next is we're gonna melt a little bit of butter and add some seeds to it, and then pour that over the top. So I just have 3 tablespoons of butter, and that's just what I already had in my fridge that was already cut up. So I'm just gonna melt this, add seeds to it, and then pour it over. All right, so I got my melted butter, and then I actually add everything but the bagel seasoning to it, which seems weird, but I mean, I don't know. It's seasoning that's on the top, and it has the seeds and everything in it. So I just add about that much. Sorry, it's like so hard for you guys to see at this angle, but yeah, about that much, just to where, not an extensive amount, but just to where it's in there. And then you just pour this over the top, just like that. Try to get it even. I never get it even, so I always just use one of my little baster things and just kind of spread it out a little bit more. That way everything is covered, like so. There we go. So yeah, that's what it's supposed to look like that. And then you're just gonna bake at 350 for 15 minutes. All right, so they're all done. I already took mine out. I'm having 4 because I'm starving, but this is what they look like. They definitely got a little bit more brown, and I actually took them out with like 2 minutes remaining, so maybe only do like 12 to 13 minutes, but it really just depends on your oven, I think. So yeah, here's what they look like. They look super good. All right, so for this next recipe, I was on the phone, so I'm just going to do the voiceover, but this is shepherd's pie. Seriously, so good. Start your mashed potatoes. You can use homemade mashed potatoes or boxed, so I just have mine boiling. And then the first thing you do is use a stick of butter and then an onion and get that sauteing in a pan so that it can look like this. And then after the onions are translucent, you're going to add 1 bag of mixed veggies, and then saute that to where the veggies are kind of soft but not like totally done yet. And then after that, you're going to add, actually I add a little bit of salt and pepper to it and maybe some onion powder too, just to add some more flavor. And then once the veggies are kind of done, you're going to add in 1 pound of ground beef. I just add it in all together so that everything can cook together. And then make sure you're checking on your mashed potatoes if you are making homemade so that they don't boil over. So once everything is done in the skillet, I'm just going to do the mashed potatoes. I add probably half a stick of butter, 2 spoonfuls of mayo, and then some milk so that it's creamy, and salt and pepper. And then I just use the hand mixer to mix it together. And then for the inside part of it with the meat and everything, I just add Worcestershire sauce. I just add this to taste. So I just add some, and then I kind of like smell it. It sounds weird, but I smell it to kind of like see, how, if I added enough. And then I just add more. I add a lot because we like a lot of seasoning. And then just mix that up and let it kind of saute for a little bit. And then I add a little bit of beef broth. You can add this already like made as the liquid, or I just do the powder and sprinkle a little bit over top of it. And then I add maybe like 1/4 of a cup of water. You don't want it to be too runny, so don't add too much water. So then you're just going to let that saute for a little bit and just kind of like get the juices to where they're a little bit thicker than when you added them in. And then after that's done, you're just going to put it at the bottom of a casserole dish and then put the mashed potatoes that you made on top of that, spread it all out so it's even. And then on top of that, you're going to add cheddar cheese, however much you want. I add a lot because we like a lot of cheese. And then on top of it, you're just going to add salt and pepper. And you're just going to bake that at 400 for 30 minutes. And then when it comes out, it'll look like this. It should be bubbling a ton, and then the top should be a little bit crispy, and it's super good. All right, so tonight we're making white chicken enchiladas. So they're just chicken enchiladas with white sauce instead of red or green. So I'll show you guys everything that we need and what we're gonna do. So right now Andy is shredding the chicken. Right, babe? Tell him what you're doing.
Shredding that chicken.
So he's using 2 forks and then the hand mixer. So it really just depends. Usually the hand mixer is easier, but it really depends on how shredded you want them. So the other stuff that you'll need is obviously tortillas, sour cream, chicken broth, diced green chilies, which I actually don't have, so I'm using diced jalapenos, which might be a little bit more spicy than the green chilies, but that's okay. And cheese. So first things first is cook your chicken, which I just did in salt, pepper, and garlic powder, and I also use adobo seasoning, which looks like this. It's kind of like Mexican-y, Spanish flavor-ish, so that's why I use that, because I didn't have any taco seasoning, so this worked pretty good. And then I'll show you what I'm about to do next. All right, so in the saucepan, we're just gonna melt 3 tablespoons of butter, if I can figure out where the thing is. Sorry. So 3 tablespoons of butter, melt that. All right, and then once this is melted, we're gonna add 3 tablespoons of flour, and we're gonna let it like become a paste, but not burn. So you kind of have to be quick with it and turn your heat down after the butter is done melting. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and add it even though it's not all the way melted, just so it doesn't burn. I'm gonna turn my heat down to like in between low and medium on my stove, and I'm gonna add the 3 tablespoons of flour, and then just mix that up to where it becomes a little bit of a paste. Like that to where it's thick. And then you're gonna add 2 cups of chicken broth. At this point you can turn your heat up a little bit more so everything can mix together and start to boil, because you don't want there to be like big chunks of that paste in there. All right, so now that this is boiling and everything is pretty much mixed together, there's still a little bit of chunks, but it'll all go together once you add in the other stuff. It does get like a little bit thicker, like a kind of like a creamy gravy, I guess. But you're gonna add 1 cup of sour cream, and then you add in your green chilies. This is where you add in just a small can of green chilies, which would be easier, but for some reason when I went to get my groceries they were sold out of it, so I don't know if that's actually true or not, but that's what they told me. And then I'm gonna add in my diced jalapenos. Again, you can do the green chilies. So you want to keep your heat low because you actually don't want this to boil. That's just what the recipe says. I don't really know why, but yeah. And then the recipe doesn't say to do this, but I add a little bit of salt and pepper in mine. All right, just like that. So I'm gonna turn the heat off of this, and then we're gonna roll up the enchiladas. To the chicken, I forgot to say, add 1 cup of cheddar cheese. I'm not gonna measure it, I'm just gonna eyeball it. So let me grab the cheese. All right, so that looks like 1 cup. And then just mix that up, and then you're gonna put this inside the tortillas, roll them up, and put them in a dish. Well, I have my tortillas. I actually meant to get bigger ones, but these will work just fine. And then over here I have my dish. So let me angle this down. I'm just going to roll these up one by one and put them in here. I am gonna spray this because every time I make this, they always stick to the bottom. So make sure to do that unless you know your pan's like really good. This is the most time-consuming part, but it's really not that hard to do. And they don't have to be even. It's really not a big deal. Just put them in there like that. All my other dishes, we have like leftovers and stuff in the fridge, so this is pretty big, bigger than I would usually use. All right, so now that I got them all in here, this actually used a whole roll. It actually used 9, so I have 1 tortilla left, but. So then you just take the sauce that you made and pour it over top. So just like this. And then on top you can do cheddar cheese or mozzarella cheese. I'm actually going to do mozzarella on top. Alright, so now we're going to put it in the oven at 350 for 20 to 25 minutes. Alright, so I just took it out of the oven. I put it on broil like right before it was done for maybe a minute. Just make sure you watch it, but that's how I got it to look crispy like that, and it's bubbling. It's going to be so good.
So that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know if you guys try any of these recipes. Tag me either on Instagram or comment down below letting me know which one was your favorite. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you subscribe, turn on your notification bell so you're notified every time I post a video. Follow me on my Instagram. Obviously follow the dogs on their Instagram because they have their own as well. And I will see you guys in my next one. Bye guys.